my name's Chris Quinlan and welcome to Melbourne Musos. What I want to do now is sort of describe what you just heard and what you were going to hear for the rest of the show, with a couple of little tidbits of information and all that sort of business. What I try and do with the drums, with the triggers and all of that business is obviously very different and fairly, hopefully, unique to this show. I mean, if I was going to keep this as a teaching show and all that, I'm up against a world of YouTube and the information out there, the world of Wikipedia. You know, if I can actually point you to things on the internet and all that, my job is done. But as far as saying this is a paradiddle and this is this and this is that, there's plenty of information. So with my little footprint here with the show, what I want to try and do is sort of really just sort of lock into using the drums as a catalyst for new music or different ideas for new music and things like that. So with what I'm doing now is a tip of the hat to Robert Fripp in a big way. Robert Fripp is an incredible guitarist, one of my favourites, leader of King Crimson for decades now. And what happens with Robert Fripp, he worked with Brian Eno, the very famous producer and one-time keyboard player for Roxy Music. And what happened with them is they got together in the 1970s and developed pretty much looping, but with reel-to-reel tape decks. So they'd get a reel-to-reel tape and loop it between two tape decks and get these 20-second, 30-second soundscapes and all of this sort of business. And Robert Fripp would play over the top of what Brian Eno was doing. And I use Brian Eno's apps to this day. I mean, on smartphone app such as Air is a beautiful Celtic voice and voices coming through. And funnily enough, the tonality of that is in F. And then I have other voices which get set off with the triggers on the drum set, which goes to an interface, and I use modes and all this and lots of different scales and note setups, you know, things like that. I'll get into that another time. But what happens is that I juxtapose it all as if it was a long loop, you see. Now, people that do things like this in a classical idiom, people like Terry Riley, look him up. This is the point of the show. I'm going to, you know, name drop like crazy so that you can just go, Terry Riley, go and listen to some of his stuff on YouTube. And he will get a repetitive motif, if you like. And he will have someone play it maybe so many times. Sometimes it's specific, like play this 12 times before you go to the next motif and so on. Play this 8 times, play this 4 times, you see. And what happens, he'll get someone else, like the strings or something, another motif, but play it 4, then 12, 4. And then what happens is he actually turns the orchestra into this gigantic loop station, you know, that kind of thing. In many ways it's called minimalism. And, you know, you have people like Philip Glass, who are like the kings of minimalism, you know, that kind of thing. And these kinds of things influence my work on the drum set. So I hope you get something out of what I'm about to play. It is a piece of music, and rather than just a drum solo, I really try and think like, you know, like looping and soundscapes, movie soundtracks. I'll use anything. And try and just get different sounds together and move them around. So I hope you enjoy what I do.